was a lot. Did that sentence make any sense? 0 out of 10. I am dumb. Am I even allowed to say that? I'm gonna lose subscribers over this. Make it make sense. I am a Christmas girly. No? I think I'm doing okay. Shameless plug. This is gonna be a chaotic video. I can already feel it. Hey friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Mackenzie and I am so happy you're here. I am gonna level with y'all. I have tried to film this video at least twice before sitting down to film it right now. And I have hated the way that every video before now has turned out. So hopefully, third time's the charm. And this one you will actually see. This is a 5 things I wish I knew before starting law school video. I have so much information for you guys. I have so many things to tell you. And I crowdsourced even more information from some of my friends from law school, as well as from some practicing attorneys, to get their take on things they wish they knew before starting law school. So a lot of these are personal to me, but I think have wide applicability. And then there's some honorable mentions that I'll put at the end of this video so that you can get a little bit more of a well-rounded perspective on things that a lot of people wish that they knew before they started. I don't think I have ever introduced myself in a single video that I have done. Hello, my name is Mackenzie. I am a 3L or a third-year law student at Boston University School of Law. I'm a first-generation college student, law student. This channel is dedicated to me living out law school and life on the internet. Shameless plug. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, and if you feel like it, turn on your notifications by hitting the bell icon. I am trying, not promising, but trying to release new videos every Wednesday. We'll see how long I can keep that up. Law school is not conducive to doing really anything else outside of law school, which we'll talk about a little bit in this video. I'm happy you're here. Hopefully you find this video helpful. Some background on me that I think is important context for this video is that I am a first-generation college student and law student. So I am winging this whole law school thing. I think I'm doing okay, but definitely winging it because I did not have anybody in my life who had been to law school that could advise me on the application process, the way to get a job, nothing like that. So I've really figured this out for myself with the help of many other people that I've connected with over the last 2.5 years who have given me wonderful advice. I can't take all the credit. So a lot of this information might be specific to me as a first-generation student, but I do still think a lot of it is applicable and relatable for anybody who's thinking about going to law school, because I will say there is no educational experience quite like law school. Nobody is prepared for law school until they do it. Everybody is, to some extent, on the same level when it comes to starting law school, because there's just nothing you can do to fully prepare yourself for it. With that in mind, now we can get started. Let's talk about living conditions in law school. The first thing that I wish I knew before starting law school is that I should have visited the area where I was planning on living before moving. I came to visit Boston and tour BU Law like 2 years before I started my applications. At that time, I fell in love with Boston. I love the city, love everything about it. I didn't spend much time outside of the city or in the sort of surrounding areas around the school. Didn't look at apartments, apartment prices, the cost of living in all of these different areas. So when it came time for me to apply, I did not come back to visit. I was applying during the 2020 cycle, and the time that I was supposed to come to visit BU for the second time was at the end of March 2020. So that did not happen. If I had come, I probably would have, no, I'm not gonna give myself that much credit. I highly doubt that I would have looked into apartments, toured apartments, done any of that research. And that is because I am dumb. I ended up moving into an apartment in Allston, Massachusetts, which is a sort of neighborhood in the greater Boston area. I loved the roommates that I had. They were literally the best part of my law school experience when I was living in that apartment. They were top notch. The actual apartment itself, the area where I was living, no, absolutely not. They call Allston Rat City. And there was one time I saw a mouse in my apartment and I contacted our management company to tell them that there was a mouse because I saw it in the kitchen, kind of a big deal. The property manager emailed me back and said, okay, but you live in the city now, so you should get used to seeing a mouse. No. I really wish I would have done more research into where I was going to live as a student on a student budget before I made that decision and moved into the apartment that I moved into in the area specifically that I moved into, because it was not good. So that's my first thing that I would recommend. If you're seriously considering a law school and you have any plans at all to go and visit, please visit apartments, book apartment tours, do any research at all into the areas in which you would most likely be living based on the cost, based on the distance, etc. Because your living situation and your living conditions make a huge difference, especially during the first few years of law school. First few years, there's only 3. I would say the first year, maybe the second year, you're likely spending either all of your time at the law school, in the library, or you're spending all of your time in your apartment. It would be really great to be happy, or at least not uncomfortable, where you're living. The next thing I wish I knew before starting law school is that law school is really freaking hard. And I know everybody is rolling their eyes on the other side of the camera right now. What I mean is that law school is so hard and consumes so much of your time that you shouldn't plan major life events during law school. Mackenzie, what type of events are you talking about? I decided to plan a wedding during law school. Let's start at the beginning. I got engaged to my wonderful husband in the summer of 2019. Insert photo here. And in the summer of 2019, I had not yet applied to law schools. I was planning on it, but I had not started the process. If there is anything that you need to know about me, I'm gonna tell you right now, it is that I am a Christmas girly. Decorate before it's socially acceptable, leave my Christmas decorations up until March, and you're gonna find this out the second the clock strikes midnight on November 1st. It is October 13th. My husband is holding me back from putting up my Christmas decorations. I know there are people clicking away from this video right this second because I said that. I'm gonna lose subscribers over this. I don't even care. I just love Christmas. Everything about it. I love Christmas. So we decided to get married in December of 2020. I can hear the collective through the screen. There are so many problems with that plan. First of all, I was going to be in law school. Second of all, collectively, the entire world had no idea what an absolute dumpster fire 2020 was gonna be. We decided to plan a wedding that would take place in between my first 2 semesters of law school. It was stressful. Wedding planning, first of all, is essentially a full-time job. Not sure why I thought I would be able to do that and law school, which is also a full-time job. And then once we discovered that we wouldn't even be able to have the wedding that we were planning anyway, we had a perfect out to postpone the wedding until I wasn't in law school anymore, or at the very least when I wasn't as busy, when I was more acclimated to law school. No, we decided we were going to do this COVID wedding. Am I even allowed to say that? Pandemic wedding? Should I say pandemic? This small, immediate family only wedding in the backyard of an Airbnb. Please learn from my mistakes. Please do not do this to yourself. We planned our pandemic wedding to take place on the same day as our original wedding, so we'd have the same anniversary date. So by the time that the exam schedule is released for my first semester, I discover, lo and behold, that I have an exam 2 days before we're supposed to get married. And I had already purchased the latest flight that I could get on the day of my exam, like to fly back to California so that I could make it to my own wedding. I realized if I sat for the exam at the time that it was scheduled, I would miss my flight. There wasn't enough time for me to finish the exam, get to the airport, and get on the plane. I had to petition the Academic Standards Committee to take my exam 2 hours earlier so that I could make my flight to make my own wedding. Luckily, they approved it. It all worked out. We did get married. Thank you, thank you. It was such a stressful experience, and all of that could have been a non-issue if I had just not decided to plan a wedding during my first year of law school. Law school's really hard. Highly recommend postponing major life events, if possible, until at the very least after your first year. The next thing that I wish I knew kind of goes hand in hand with the one I just talked about. Law school is really hard, and because of that, it can be really isolating. You spend a lot of your time during your first year just reading for class, outlining, going to class, reading for class, outlining, going to class. It's just this constant cycle. I'm a slow reader, so I will admit that it probably took me longer than the average person to get through all of my readings for class. However, I never felt like I had time to go to social events where I maybe could have created relationships. So the thing that I wish I knew before starting law school is that investing time and effort into relationships, making genuine friendships so that you have an outlet outside of the classroom will make law school so much more bearable. It will make it so much more enjoyable. I'm very, very happy that now in my third year, I have done such a better job of investing in my friendships, and it really has made the experience so much better. I'm having such a better time now than I did, especially my first year. So I recommend finding people that you get along with, people that you like, and investing time in cultivating a relationship and a friendship. Somebody that you would enjoy spending time with outside of the classroom, because you really do need to step away. It's hard because you feel like you constantly have things that you need to do, things that you should be doing. There's a sense of guilt when you're not spending 100% of every waking hour doing something law school related. But in reality, you also need to step away. A reminder, you were a whole person with hobbies and interests and friends before you started law school. It can be a lot, and it can be really overwhelming. So my recommendation is that you take the time to make friendships outside of the classroom and do non-law school related things, because it will make your law school experience so much better. This is a big one. This is a big one. And it might be honestly the first gen in me. I really wish that I knew that law school does not actually teach you how to be a lawyer. Just think that over for a second. 3 years of law school doesn't actually teach you how to practice law. Make it make sense. Somebody, wherever you end up working after you go to law school, that person is going to train you how to be a lawyer, because you do not learn that in law school. I have no idea how to file something with a court. None. Law school gives you a sort of base level knowledge of many different legal subjects, many different bodies of law. And that is really helpful because you have that foundation to build on when you do start studying for the bar. But even then, you do not learn what you need to know for the bar in law school. You get an introduction to the subjects that will likely be tested on the bar, but the classes in law school do not teach to the bar exam. The classes teach to the professor, and then the professor teaches whatever the heck they think is the most important thing that you need to know about that subject, not what you need to know for the bar. I think if you go into law school knowing that you'll have a much better time acclimating to the environment and to the classes than I did. Just manage your expectations, go into it with an open mind, and realize that you're going to have a lot of learning to do even after you graduate that you're not going to be able to do in law school because there's just no structure for it. As long as you know that and it doesn't catch you off guard, I think you'll be in a good spot. Oh my gosh, we're on the last one. This one I think is really important. My very last thing that I wish I knew before starting law school is that there are a lot of things you're supposed to do in law school. Being on law review, being part of the competition moot court or mock trial team. I just wish I knew that in order to be successful in law school, in order to get the job that you want, in order to be a great attorney, you don't need to do any of those things. When I was coming to law school, I had no idea what a law journal was. I didn't know what a law journal was until the end of my second semester of law school, when you had to decide whether or not you wanted to try to be on a law journal. If you also don't know what a law journal is, I'm validating your lack of knowledge because I had no idea. A law journal is just a student-led publication. Being on a law journal is a lot about the academic side of law. It's a lot of legal research, it's a lot of editing and proofreading and site checking and learning about different areas of legal scholarship. So I'm gonna tell you right now that if you are interested in legal scholarship, you enjoy legal history, you enjoy reading scholarly articles about different legal subjects, if you find editing cathartic, if you have a desire to go into academia, if you want to be published, if you want to be a professor someday, I think you would love being on a law journal. If all of those things sound like your own personal hell, 100% would not recommend. 0 out of 10. I have no desire to be in academia, to be a professor, or publish any legal research or scholarship. That's just not really my focus for me and my legal practice. I love litigation, I love being inside the courtroom, and that is what I want to do. I did still do a journal, and I do think that was influenced by this sort of law school culture of doing a journal. I opted out of consideration for law review when I was going through the journal application process. I chose a different law journal that was a smaller time commitment than law review. I did not enjoy my law journal experience. I find editing cathartic. That was the only part of my journal experience that I enjoyed. I just don't think that it is particularly necessary in order for you to succeed in your career. And I'll give you the reason why I think that. I am going to be working at a wonderful firm here in Boston after I graduate. The editor-in-chief of Law Review, one of the smartest top-ranked people in our entire class, will also be working at that firm. And we will have the exact same job title. I just simply do not think that you have to do anything that you really don't want to do in order to succeed. And I feel the same way about competition teams. That's just another extracurricular along the same lines as doing a law journal that people place on a sort of pedestal as something that you need to do. And my thought is, along the same lines as law journal, if you hate the work that would be involved in doing a journal, if you hate litigation, if you hate standing up in front of people and speaking, if you do not enjoy being inside of a courtroom, if you are primarily interested in the transactional part of the law, and you hate the idea of being in a trial or standing up in front of a panel of judges, it is just not for you. It's not for you, and that's okay. There are so many other experiences that you can have in law school that will be valuable to you. And I think it's so dependent on what you individually want to do after you graduate. And even if that's not practicing law, maybe that's consulting, maybe that's regulatory work, maybe it's policy work. You can do all of those things without doing either law journal or moot court or really anything else that you're supposed to do in law school. Law school, I would say, is a very customizable educational experience. There are so many academic opportunities that you can really mold into the experience that you want it to be for your future career. So take advantage of those opportunities and do the things that you think will actually be beneficial to you, or even that you would just enjoy. Don't do anything simply because you think that you're supposed to. I really wish I would have known that. There's very little about my law school experience thus far that I regret or that I would go back and change, but I wish that I would have thrown myself completely into moot court because I love litigation. That is what I want my practice to be when I graduate. And I feel like that experience would have been so much more valuable to me if I hadn't done a journal. I'm not saying that my journal experience wasn't valuable and that I didn't learn a lot. I'm just saying that for me personally, I think I would have had a better experience if I had spent all of my time and effort and energy on moot court and really diving into that world rather than spending time working on a law journal. And everybody is different. Every student is different. I know people who love their journal work, who have decided to stay on for a second year, who ran for a position of leadership on their law journal. But I would say don't do something just because you have heard that you're supposed to, or that you have to, or that you won't get the job that you want if you don't, because that's just not true. I almost forgot our honorable mentions. I put a question box on my Instagram for all of my fellow classmates, my fellow law students, and recent graduates, practicing attorneys, to drop some pearls of wisdom and things that they wish that they knew before they started law school. And I got quite a few responses. So I'm going to share a couple with you that I thought were valuable. There were a couple of people that said they would have liked to know what an outline was and how to outline. I'm going to do an entire video on that where I'm going to talk all about what an outline is, how I go about outlining, and my outline strategies, because there isn't a lot of guidance. An outline is what we call a study guide. So you're going to learn a lot of information in your class throughout the entire semester, and you put all of that material in an outline that you then study for the exam. That's what an outline is. Another law school graduate said that she wishes she knew how to write a cover letter before she came to law school. I will second this. I had no idea how to write a cover letter before I came to law school. If you do need to know how to write a cover letter, even if you're not close with them, just reach out to people that you think would be good sources of information and who would be willing to send you a template of a cover letter that they've drafted, because that was so valuable for me to use as a sort of guide in drafting my own. Another very good friend of mine in law school said he wishes he knew that there's a lot of, quote, inside information that you can't intuit or figure out on your own. I would also say that that is absolutely true. That is hugely important. And that's one of the reasons I started this channel. You know, you don't know what you don't know, and you have no way to ask the questions to find out what you don't know because you don't know. Did that sentence make any sense? This is so cheesy. I can't believe this popped into my head and I was gonna say this as if it had so much weight. Because I was gonna say, if even just one person watches this video and finds this information helpful and it provides them guidance during their own law school journey, that is awesome in my book. Another recommendation is that you don't need to take law school so seriously. That is also true. I know that is a terrible thing to tell law students because I think by nature, most of us are people who care way too much. Yes, there are so many important things and decisions that you make when you're in law school, but at the end of the day, law school really isn't the end all be all of your entire career. In the span of your career, you know, these 3 years in law school are this much. You have a whole career ahead of you. There's more to life than law school. And the last 3 that I'm going to mention come from a law school grad. She wishes she knew how not to get so drunk, how to not eat so much candy and pizza, and how to make friends. And I don't have recommendations for those. You're gonna have to figure those out on your own. Woo! That was a lot. That was a lot. I have no idea how long this video is going to be. If you have made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully somewhere in all of that chaos, you find some valuable information. And if you don't, I'm so sorry that you wasted however many minutes watching this video. If you are a current law student, a recent grad, or you're a practicing attorney, and you have any other pearls of wisdom or any things that you wish you would have known before you started law school that I didn't mention in this video, feel free to drop a comment, spread the wealth, share the information. If you are at the start of your law school journey, I am here to tell you, you belong in law school. Take up space because you deserve to be there. Law school is not the end all be all indicator of your success after you graduate. There's so much more to you than that. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Feel free to give it a like if you thought the video was helpful or funny or at the very least not terrible. And I will see you in the next one.